it's very far. It's very far apart, some of the destinations. And so flying is the best option. These are some ideas on the map. As you can see, again, nothing is fixed, and you can have short itineraries, long itineraries, but this is the type of landscape that your clients will experience. And this is Etosha, and this is a phenomenal destination in Namibia. To give you a perspective, it's about Etosha National Park. It's about the size of South Carolina. Now that's pretty big. Just to think, one park is the size of that state. And it's so big you can see it from space. And those elephants are the dust of the desert. So after they water themselves to cool off, they throw the dust on their bodies, and that helps with all sorts of parasites to keep them cool and alike. So there's a good reason. And there's abundant wildlife. As you can see, springbuck, oryx, elephant, lion, and the list is ongoing. Also a lot of birds. So even though you might think I'm talking about the desert landscape here, the wildlife is astonishing. And in terms of the accommodation, there are beautiful luxury lodges, and this is one of them, Ungumu. That is a tented camp, and what I want to illustrate here is how the tents are located around this waterhole, and you just sit there and relax. The animals come and drink water, and it's very bush, very luxury, quite beautiful. And another one to give you perspective is what I call the fort. Now, the fort is a built structure. It's not a tented structure, but it has the most amazing views. It's got viewing decks on the roof, and you just look over those Etosha Plains and you see giraffe in the distance. And then, of course, it's the land safaris in the vehicle. That's your standard game viewing vehicle. And passenger-wise, it sits 6 people on average. And that's very comfortable, and also make it private and exclusive. You've got your sunset settings when you do the drives, and of course, all your other amenities like massage and alike. So very high-end lodges in Namibia. It's not a 3-star, it's a 5-star property. And then, of course, moving on a little bit west of Etosha is what they call the Maraland. The Maraland is known for culture. And this is the Himba tribe, that lady that took red mud, and that's how they treat the hair. There are living museums, there's rock art, and these are fever trees, in fact, and it's absolutely amazing. The whole the Maraland experience, you can see the journey, how it builds up. You get your wildlife, then you move a little bit into culture. And so moving on from the Maraland to the south, you get Sossusvlei, the Dead Valley, and I'm sure most of you heard about that. And in fact, you can do balloon safaris, and those ground patches that in the grass, that's truly there. And even if you do a low flying safari or balloon safari, your clients will see that, and it is amazing. And you will see oryx and other sort of antelope grazing the fields as they would go over. And then, of course, the Dead Valley in itself, that's the photo on the top left. Very famous, you go there, it's a morning activity, early morning, you climb the red dunes and you take photos, great fun. And the afternoon you carry on. And again, like this desert lodge, this beautiful 5-star property right there in the red dunes, and you just look over the desert and the landscape. And then go further south. If you have clients that are keen hikers or slightly more adventurous, they can go and hike the Fish River Canyon. It is the 2nd largest canyon in the world after the Grand Canyon, of course. And it's phenomenal. I did it. I loved it. And but again, it is, you need to be fit. You know, it's not for your modest hiker. You need to be fit. And you enjoy the scenery, and your clients that don't want to hike, they can stay at the Fish River Lodge. They can just absorb this magnificent canyon, and then they fly on to their next destination, like Swakopmund. And Swakopmund is next to the coast where the ocean meets the desert, and lots of activities there: boating, fishing, quad biking, bird watching, going around in town. And so as you can see, Namibia has quite a lot to offer, from wildlife, landscape, the famous Sossusvlei, and alike. So a very unique destination. It is not a destination for a first-time traveler to Africa, unless it's a very specific request. So always bear in mind when you speak about that and people say, I heard about Namibia, ask him the question, is it your first time? And if the answer is yes, educate them. And of course, we're happy to help. It is a very, very unique destination. And I'm very happy to move on to Botswana. As I said, we work left to right. Botswana is a magnificent country. And there's the Chobe, Moremi, Okavango Delta, and Makgadikgadi Plains. And this is what you will see. I mean, the Okavango Delta is a combination of land and water. Some people mistakenly think it's only water. Not true. And what will happen certain times of the year, a lot of these grass patches will turn orange and yellow and all sorts of colors. That's very beautiful. And as you, again, for Botswana, it's a flying safari. Yeah, and this is the welcoming committee. So some lodges, where you fly in and it's open at the airstrip. There's no fences, nothing. And you will get elephant, giraffe, lion, and like. And yeah, you might sit in the plane for a few minutes until the game warden come and just chase them off a little bit. And then they pick you up that you can go safely to your lodge. But you can just imagine this experience. Here you come in, you're going to stay, and here's your welcoming party. They don't have the cocktails and martinis ready, but hey, I don't mind. I like them being there. And again, it's just a couple of ideas, you know, on the flying itinerary, very easy to access that. As I said, you can go Chobe, Moremi, Okavango Delta, Makgadikgadi Plains, Savuti. Those are the places you really want to visit when you do send clients into Botswana. And in Chobe, of course, there are two distinct areas. It's the northern side and the Savuti Channel. And that's very important to know that, because it's very different experiences. And I'll get into that in a second. But Chobe is very, very popular for many good reasons. And I'm sure by now, all you with sharp eyes would have seen the cheetah on the screen between the grass. And yep, there they are. They are there. And in fact, there are two. But the one in the front is the easier one to spot. But again, you get a sense of the game viewing vehicle. And so they drive, and their guides are fully qualified and trained. And they show the clients exactly what wildlife is all about. It's like the elephants on the top. And I want you to see how these elephants look like. And because I'm going to show you an elephant later that looks slightly different. And there's a good reason why. It's not a different species, just the environment that influence. And of course, Chobe is very close to Vic Falls. And you can even do a day trip over to Vic Falls. That being said, I would not recommend it. Reason being, I did it, it was terrible. You know, you need to go through the border. There could be a delay, even though we help to get a fast pass. Still, it is too much for one day. So you have clients staying in Chobe in Botswana. They want to go to Vic Falls, book a day, stay there, come back if they wish, or finish our Botswana and move on. As I said, there are two areas in Chobe, the northern area. Let's talk about that one first. And yes, you can go on a cruise. Beautiful, beautiful boat houses there. And it's aircon, as you can see, absolute luxury, 5-star private chefs and alike. And you just have these views from your bed over the river. And then they've got little boats you can jump in, you can do photographic excursions, you get closer to the wildlife, like this elephant and hippo peeking at us. And then the lounges on the boat with the outside pubs and pools, and just have that view. So if you have clients that say, I want to go on a cruise, well, here you go. There's your cruise right there. You're going to cruise between wildlife. And one of the lodges there that is very good, this is also a tip for Botswana, is Chobe Game Lodge. There are two, Chobe Safari and Chobe Game Lodge. Be mindful, it's Chobe Game Lodge. And you're going to ask me, why am I saying this? There's a very good reason why. Chobe Game Lodge is the only lodge inside the Chobe National Park on the northern side. Now, why is that important? Because the other lodges are on the outside. That means guests early morning need to drive in. So there's a bit of logistics involved. So what does that mean for your guests if they stay at Chobe Game Lodge? They're already inside the park. So it's very private, it's very exclusive, beautiful lodge. And they've got these solar panel boats. And in fact, their game viewing vehicles, they did away with diesel. All the game viewing vehicles are now electric as well. So they're very environmentally conscious. And this is the type of view guests will have when at the lodge, elephants and the distance and alike. So Chobe Game Lodge, make a note, fantastic, fantastic lodge to stay. I'm going to move now to the southwestern side of Chobe National Park, and it is called Savuti. And because there's a Savuti channel running there, that's where the name comes from. And the wildlife is so different, the landscape is different, and that's why I put that photo in with the painted dogs. Some also call it the African wild dog. And the tree is the baobab, but many call it the upside down tree. And yes, I was this close to a lion that I nearly could touch him. And that was an amazing experience. Savuti is a beautiful place to be. And when you're on Savuti, again, this is where your clients wants to stay. Belmont Savuti Elephant Lodge. This is the reception on the right. You can see the game viewing vehicle and the room on the left. And you have these views 24/7. They come, the channel was dry at this point in time. And so therefore it's a pool of water, and elephant, lion, hyena, leopard, all sorts of species come here to drink. Hey, you don't even need to go on a game drive. You just sit at the room and you have this beautiful view. But this is the best place, in my opinion, to stay. There are other beautiful lodges. Yes, I just personally love this one. And then I'm going to fly down now to Okavango Delta. So you fly in a twin prop, and it's only about 20 minutes, the camps apart when you do, 20 to 25 maximum, some shorter, 15 minutes. You don't drive, you fly, remember the map. And this is what you will see when you fly. This is a flying safari. So this is when we flew from Savuti to the Okavango Delta, and we saw this herd of buffalo. I didn't even try to count it because it was going on and on and on. But you see zebra, you see hippo, and all sorts of wildlife. And that's phenomenal. So this is typically what you want to do with your client. You say, okay, you're going to stay 2 nights in Savuti, 2 nights in Moremi, and 2 nights in the Okavango Delta. And that gives you a land safari, water safari, flying safari. This is truly amazing to see this when you do fly from camp to camp. And then when you're at the Delta, you can do Mokoro trips. And you sit on these canoe, and this professional guy takes you out, and you get so close to water lilies. And you can see the elephant here, nice and clean, the tusks. The others were a little bit dirty. And the reason why they live in these deltas, and so they use their teeth to lift the grass. So they wash their tusk every single day, nice and white compared to the others. And so Belmont Eagle Island Lodge is a phenomenal lodge to stay. And this photo at the bottom, I was sitting in a Mokoro, that little canoe, and the elephants were walking between us and the rooms. You can see the rooms in the background and the lilies in the front. And top right corner, you have your private splash pool, and you sit there, and again, wildlife come. And remember, I spoke about the landscape, how it changes colors, orange and yellow. And that's exactly what they did with this lodge. They brought in that theme that it represents the change of season. You will notice the walls are black and gray. And you would ask, well, that is pretty strange that the lodge walls are black and gray. Yeah, I also thought it was strange. So I spoke to the manager. And I said, hey, what's going on here? I mean, I don't understand this. And he just smiled and he said, great question. That symbolizes the elephants. So when they're in the water, they're black. And when they put that sand on, they lighter colors, have got these color schemes to truly illustrate the Okavango Delta. And I thought, amazing. You guys did a phenomenal job. So another tip, when your clients go to the Delta, this is a great lodge to stay. Right, moving on to one more. We're going now to Zimbabwe. So in my previous session, I spoke quite a bit on Zimbabwe. So I thought I'm not going to talk as much about the falls itself, but what I want to share with you today is that Zimbabwe can be a stand-alone destination. It's like, now, how does that work? Because we always talk about the falls, but there's really much more in Zimbabwe. So for those that missed the previous session, I put something in about the falls. I'll get to that in a moment. But what I want to show you here, again, it's a flying safari from one destination to the others. So there's the circuit. Again, it's not fixed, but it gives you some ideas. That's all what it is. It gives you some ideas. And so the falls itself, again, people ask, so when is the best time to go to the falls? It all depends what your client wants to do. So if your client wants to see volume of water, April is the best month. Yes, you will hear it a mile away and the mist will go up several hundreds of feet in the air. And your clients will be soaking wet when they walk next to the falls to see the water, of course. But they say, so how is it in the drier months? And I took this photo in November, that is in your drier months, and it was as beautiful. You can still see the rainbows, and it also opens up other opportunities, like that lady on the rim of the fall, on the top right corner of the screen. You can jump in and you can swim in that pool. It's on the Zambia side, in fact. I wasn't that brave. I didn't jump in, but she did. She did. Anyway, as you can see, it's an all year round destination. It only comes down what your client's needs are. So for those that wants a map, or rather a guide of which month is what, happy to reach out to me. I'll provide you with the information. But the falls itself, there's much to do. It's not only the falls. And as this slide illustrates, you know, the helicopter, that would be in April. You can see the mist, how high it is. It's called the Flight of Angels. And they like to do it through the day, but also sunset to give it that beautiful look and feel. And one of my favorite events is the Boma Drum and Dinner Show. That is the center photo at the bottom. It's much more than just having dinner. It's a whole interactive evening. They come, they give you drums, they paint your face, you sing, you eat, you dance. It's a whole fun evening. And then, of course, your standard activities is like your sunset cruise. You can go and guide a tour next to the falls. And those that wants to do their own art, there are local artists that take you in the bush and they show you how to paint wildlife. It doesn't need to be correct. Remember, it's your painting, and that's all that matters. But what I want to show you, in addition to the Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe, there are beautiful safari destinations. This is a great example of Hwange. That's how I pronounce it, Hwange National Park. And you know what? It's so close to Vic Falls, you can drive there. It's that close. Imagine your people stay there and they've got cheetahs, elephant, and all these beautiful animals right next to the lodge, as you can see in this photo. And then they go to the falls and then they have cultural interaction. And suddenly you're 7 days in Zimbabwe. It is an absolute standalone option for clients that don't want to do too much hopping between countries. And many a time, Hwange National Park is being overlooked. And again, there are beautiful 5-star quality lodges. That's what we look at. Just look at that middle photo with the buffalo and the room in the background. Boy, that is a sighting to behold. And so it's very, very natural in the bush, still quality. You still see the elephants from the pool in the background, but this gives you a good idea of the quality of accommodation. And I'm still in Zimbabwe, believe it or not, but there's another beautiful park. It's called Mana Pools. That's how you pronounce it, Mana Pools. And it is a World Heritage Site. You're not going to drive there from the falls. You're going to fly. But like Wangi is more your land, Mana is going to be a lot of water. So buffalo, elephant, hippo, crocodile, you're going to see a lot of those. And of course, they're always filled with the big five. And the big five are your leopard, rhino, elephant, buffalo, and lion. So remember Mana and Wangi as your safari destinations. And again, in Mana, beautiful 5-star quality product. And wildlife come really close to your room, as you can see there. And now my last destination is on the right of the map, and that is Mozambique. And Mozambique is your beach destination. So you start with your desert on the left. We work through the Okavango deltas, the Chobe, the safaris, and through Botswana, Zimbabwe. Now we're on the right-hand side. Warm water, Indian Ocean, beach. Your honeymoon couples love it. So what they do, they go on safari, and after safari, they do a 3-day or 4-day extension to Mozambique. Now, there's a good reason why I chose this particular photo to show you. Reason being, this is a low tide photo. And when you always look for a lodge, make sure that there is always water in front of your lodge. There are huge tidal variances in Mozambique. So if you choose the wrong location, you might end up where you have to walk a mile to get to the water. Nobody wants that. So that's the reason why I chose this specific photo. That also being said, it shows you the beauty of what Mozambique has to offer. And it's a very short flight from Johannesburg. It's a 1 hour, 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours. So everything is close. And all the countries I discussed today, you can easily tag it. If you have a client that have the time, you can tag. You start at the left, you work your way through to the right. And these are the type of activities you can find at the beach. Fishing, private picnicking, horseback, snorkeling, diving, bird watching, canoeing, turtle watching, whale watching. I can go really on with the list. Much to do, really, really much to do. There are distinct areas. I focus here on Bazarutu National Park, that's close to Vilankulas, but there are also areas in the north. And when you go down to the south, there are different areas. We think Bazarutu is one of the more prime areas because of the reefs. It's quite phenomenal. In fact, the photo on the left, that was taken at Bazarutu Reef. And it gives you a sense of how clean the water is and the quality of your fish life there. So Bazarutu National Park, fantastic add-on, 3-4 days for a honeymoon couple or a client that wants to do a bush and a beach experience. And again, 5-star quality lodges. This is Dugong Lodge. And as you can see, there's water all the way up to the lodge. Beautiful jetty, the $1 Million sunset, and the pools overlooking the bay. And the rooms are phenomenal, 5-star all the way. So you can start in the desert, you work your way through the bush, you end up in the water. And that's really how all that fits together. So I know and understand that Africa can be daunting. It's a lot to process, it's a lot to take in. And again, I have not even touched on everything in these 4 destinations. So what I did to help those interested, I prepared cheat sheets. What I say, how to sell Africa in 5 minutes. That's really the bottom line. Because if you get a client and he starts asking you questions, you want to secure the business. That's the objective. And all you have to do is refer to this, and immediately you can have that discussion and say, okay, where do you want to go? How are we going to do this? And within 5 minutes, you're going to have very good direction. So those that's interested, you've got my email address. It's on the screen as well. Please reach out. I'm happy to share this sheet. And it will be a handy guideline for any person that phones you and just to start that discussion about Africa. So in conclusion, I'm going to say thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed this, especially these 4 countries that I shared, and I hope it was informative, and I'm happy to take any answers, and hopefully I'll be able to help.
Thank you so much, Gil, for all of the information. I'm pretty sure everyone, including myself, learned a lot. I will go through the chat for you to see if we had any questions. So while I am doing that, guys, can you please type any questions that you have in the chat box? One thing I do have to ask, do you guys have like a TA portal with like media where you can get pictures or videos?
So if there are any need for pictures or marketing material, just reach out to me and I'll send it through, because it's so specific. You know, we always make sure that we send the right photo for the right destination. Put it like that.
Understandable. And it's like, as you mentioned, Africa is so huge. You want to make sure that people are zoning into which country and even which city they would want to go to. Again, guys, his information is on the screen, so make sure you take that down. Let's see. I'm just reading through. A lot of thank yous, awesome presentations, but I don't really see any other questions. You guys will have an extra 2 minutes, so if you have any questions, please ask them now while he is on the call. I don't want him to be bombarded by you guys' emails. So any questions, please, please, please make sure you type them in. Just taking a look. What's the best time of year to travel?
That is a great question. In the past, there was the perception of seasonality. Generally, it's common belief it's better to go from June to end of October, because you're going to see more animals, because it's a little bit drier and they're going to congregate at the water holes. The landscape has changed in that it's now a year-round destination, and it really comes down to what your clients experiences, or at least what they want to experience. And if there are clients that's going to travel in January, February, so it's lush green, and they say, well, we're not going to see much animals, then we just put them in destinations where there are options for the guides to go off-road. And as soon as you can go off-road, everything becomes irrelevant, because you can drive to wherever you want to drive to see the animals. Right. But as a rule of thumb, your shoulder seasons provide you with the colors, as I mentioned in the Okavango Delta. As for Namibia, doesn't matter. You know, they always congregate around the water holes. And so there's no, I would say, a peak season or a low season anymore. And bear that in mind, what I just said, because of the pent-up demand, you know, and we've all lost a year and a half, maybe 2 of travel, we do foresee 22, 23, that people's going to book year-round. And so peak season will be fully booked if it's not already booked in some places. So our advice is the sooner the better.
Thank you. As far as the presentation, if you are part of Elite, this recording is housed on our website. So if you are a part of Elite and want to rewatch the recording, it is housed on our website. If you don't know our website and you are a part of Elite, please make sure you reach out to your sponsor. Do we have any other questions for Gil? I'm going to give you guys 1 more minute, because I don't want to take up any more of his time. We know time is very precious. A lot more thank yous coming in. Great information. Since I do not see any more questions, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us and learning about Africa Safari from our 1-star platinum and the elite team. We want to say thank you. And remember, we pray, we grind, we repeat. Why? Because we are elite. Have a good evening, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.